Hello there. How's everybody doing? Well, it is a Monday, and I guess this is a normal time for me to stream. Granted, the entire point of last week was that I was going to stream then, and then I was going to stream last week before that, and yeah, here we are. Tends to be the pattern, isn't it? Anywho, yeah, I am back from Japan. That's been quite a bit of everything, if I'm going to be honest. That was a very, very interesting time. And I'm going to be babbling a lot about what happened there and what's going to be happening in the future, so I'm not going to take up too much of your time chatting about that right off the bat. The point is, I have a tiny, microscopic little sliver of extra time tonight. I have a lot of prep work that I have to do from starting tomorrow and moving on from there. So hopefully everything will go all right, but since I am thoroughly done with what I needed to do today, and I don't think I can squeeze in any more time tonight, I'm gonna do a little bit of live stream, and maybe I can catch you guys up on what's been happening and all that jazz. Either way, for now, this is what I'm gonna be working on today. So here we are. Some of you might already be familiar with this one. I am coming back to this because, frankly, I haven't had time to finish it. I have been so unbelievably busy, and every time I'm doing one of these live streams and I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna finish this up live, it's gonna take no time whatsoever, I have to just be honest that that's not gonna happen. So I'm just gonna use this piece as a jumping off point, and then we'll see how far we get. And if not, then hey, at the very least, it was a good chill time, and I got to chat with you guys for a little bit. So let's get some jams going. Let me see here. Let me just set everything up here, and we'll get back to everything. I will be playing the soundtrack for Mina the Hollower, because I just completed it, I think it was like 2 days ago. So that seemed like a good time. And if it turns out that, what is it, like 4 hours of soundtrack becomes a little bit too repetitive, then we'll just switch it over to something else. And I'll just start it straight into the profile select, I think. There we go. Okay. I think we got everything under control. Let me just check that my brushes are doing what they're supposed to do. Yeah, we got a little bit of lag, but frankly, at this point, there's so much nonsense running on everyone's PCs, it wouldn't surprise me. Alright, let's take a look at what we can start at first, and then also see who's here. Finally caught a live Snakepixel stream, it's been forever. Yeah, no, that's the one reoccurring element of all of these streams, is that I don't do this on the regular. I just do it whenever I have a sliver of extra time available, and I'm not too bogged down with other things. So it unfortunately becomes more of a rarity than I wanted to, but you know, that's just kind of how it is. Let's see. Please make Mina happen under your art concept, please. Okay, I guess I can address that part right off the bat. If I can just find it first, because it's hidden in my many secret folders. So, like I mentioned, I was out traveling, and I caught the news as I was over the North Pole, because in order to get back home from Japan, I have to travel over the North Pole. That, oh yeah, Mina the Hollower is releasing right now. So I couldn't really do anything about that, but I could once I got back. And the intent was, I'm just going to make a quick sprite, because that seemed like the easiest thing to do. And I don't know, pixel art brain kicked in, and I made this. Oop, that was not centered. Hold on, we got it. There it is. Yep. So, yeah. It was really supposed to just be like the basic Mina the Hollower sprite, and then I was like, why don't I just make the whole scene? And keep in mind, I'd only played the demo, so I didn't even know where this area was. I just guessed with a couple of different clues, and it turned out that it was a pretty good guess. So, yeah, I thought it worked out pretty well. But yes, I think that's what Chatter is suggesting, that I work on the sequel. Well, if I mean, me and the people at Yacht Club already know each other, so if they wanted to reach out, they know where they can find me. But I am quite convinced that they are very busy with their next title, and I don't have any secret information on that. If I remember reading the articles that I've seen correctly, then it's a new 3D game that they've been working on for quite some time. So I am going to assume that that's going to be their focus for some time moving forward. So if they want to do a scaled up, high resolution pixel art, Mina the Hollower, I feel like right now they probably need to rest a little bit on their laurels after they've completed a monumental task. So let's see here. So I'm going to keep this pretty casual. I'm not really going to rush into trying to complete this tonight, because frankly that seems a bit futile. So I'm going to do my usual, where I just add bits and bobs where it feels like it makes sense, and then maybe we'll end up with something finished. If not, I'll finish it after our next event. Let's see here. I think a lot of it is just going to be me removing outlines for the most part. So I'm starting to get a feel for that this piece is mostly outline-less. I don't think there's all that many harsh shapes, but I have to be a little bit careful that I keep whatever this consistency that I've built up, well, consistent. Let's see, working on the Hansmobile. Yes, I am. I guess bikes can be mobile, right? Because they are mobile. That's the whole point of bikes. I guess we're starting in an epistemology debate right off the bat, but don't worry, I think we'll survive. At least hopefully we will. Hopefully we all will. Let's see. So, is it heavy outlines, or is it... It's mostly pretty thin, if I'm being honest. So let's try to stick to that. With the lack of something in particular to comment about right off the bat, since we're sitting here listening to it, It's kind of interesting how it's very obvious when Vert has worked on something, the composer. And it's not that his style is like oh, where's my brain going right now? It's not that it's cliche. It's more so he has a very particular way of doing harmonization that's like very him. It's interesting to get to a point where you make music and it's like, yeah, no, that's the type of breakdown that you would do. Which is honestly a really nice place to be at. Let's see. So this part will likely be mainly doing... Yeah, it might mainly be sublighting here, so I'm trying to be a little careful with that. Wouldn't it be really ironic if I work on this piece all through this year? And I mean, it is supposed to be this year's Zodiac, if I don't finish it. That'd be really hilarious. I mean, I would say that that's what happened to Year of the Snake. A little ironic, sure. But I started working on it and I was just so, like, tired of doing extra stuff that it didn't feel fun to work on, so I just kind of stopped. This one I at least feel like has a little bit of momentum behind it. Just have to get it past the finish line. Finish January 1st, 2027. You know, that's the weird thing, is that all of the previous Zodiac paintings that I've done, I can see that I've done it like the first week of the year, something like that, where I'm just like, yeah, I'm pumped and I'm ready to go, and I'm gonna make a new painting this year. And it's gotten like later and later every single year. And I think it's kind of... I think it corresponds with how close we are with deadlines for our projects. Like how long it takes me to make paintings. Because, kind of a bit of spoiler alert, like we're not done with Vikings on Trampolines, obviously, because then it would be out. But our current project is at the very least reaching the stages soon where it's a complete game. Where you can play it start to finish, and you could at least call it, like, complete-ish. Like, minus a lot of polish and content and that sort of thing. And, you know, tensions start to rise when you get to that point. I think that's the strange thing. I've noticed a lot recently is just like, I think also that's why I didn't do a stream recently now, is that I've had days where I'm just like, you know what, I'd rather just go out and be in the sunshine for a bit. Because, well, right now where I live has like maybe a day or two of sunshine before it starts raining again, and it's sort of like, I don't want to miss that. It's so rare here. I mean, this is the rainiest place in the entirety of Europe. I mean, say for, unless you're living in, like, the rainforests of Scotland. I think this is the rainiest city in the entirety of Europe, and it almost feels like you're vindicated by that news. It's like, oh yeah, that's why it's like this all the time. Kind of a thing. I go for walk, it's in the rain, but the mosquitoes out in full force. Yeah. Here, mosquitoes only sting during fall, which I'm very thankful for. It's at least something that's like predictable about them. So it's a pretty particular species. Then again, the rain blasts so hard here that it's like, I don't really feel like walking out in that. It's not like I don't get enough of it. Anywho. Alright, I feel like that's enough preamble on other things. Yeah, kind of what I want to start to talk about was this recent trip that that we had for D-pad. Now, kind of what I wanted to do today, if I'm being like completely honest, was I wanted this to be a little like D-pad Studio news segment type of thing, but I don't think that's going to happen tonight because I don't have the time to put it together. But maybe after this next event that we're doing, because I'll have finally a little bit of time to think and plan some things. So right now we are just gonna freeball it, just gonna run with it as a casual conversation, and then I can make something more official for it later. Because right now the important thing is just to get it done. Anyway, very long story long. So I traveled to Japan 2 weeks ago to represent D-pad Studio at Bit Summit in Kyoto. And we've done a couple of conventions now at Tokyo Game Show, 2 of them, and we've been showing off Vikings and Trampolines there. And Tokyo's great, I love it over there, but we have also done Bit Summit once, and that was almost exactly 10 years ago when we showed off Owlboy. I believe it was when we were announcing the Switch version. I'm pretty sure that's when that was. So, getting the opportunity to go back to Kyoto and show off Vikings and Trampolines at roughly the same time was really timely. So, we just decided to jump on the opportunity and go do that. Now, unfortunately, we didn't have the opportunity to bring everyone. And, I mean, that makes sense. We have to sort of divvy up the tasks and make sure that everyone has room to do the things that they need to do. So it was me, and I brought my spouse, Julie, to help me out with the booth and everything. So we were at least staffed enough for this. But it wasn't just us. We had a booth both with for ourselves, but we had one with Kakahashi Games as well. So we were covered on 2 floors with the same game. And I can say right off the bat, Kyoto is lovely. I already knew that, having visited once before, but after having been in Tokyo for so many times, it's really nice how laid back Kyoto is. And of course, it is quite a bit more touristy than Tokyo is, just by the fact that, you know, we were close to a convention center. So, of course, there were going to be a lot of other people coming in and traveling, but I feel like Kyoto is very well prepared for that sort of thing, and it felt really casual just traveling around the place and visiting all the sites and everything. And of course, primarily the reason we were there was to show off Vikings and trampolines. And I have to say, the convention itself was really nice. Like, genuinely, it has such a good vibe to be over there. Now, we were in the sort of indie Bit Summit Punch section. So we were around a bunch of other indies, but our stand was right next to the main show floor stage on the second floor. So we got to stand there and just watch all the day intros, all the performance shows and everything else. Like, it was really nice. Like, genuinely, we had a really good time with that. Got to speak with some of the organizers as well. Like, oh, my brain. You know what? I'm gonna look this up ahead of time, because otherwise I want to get the name right. Let's see. Come on. I know this is in here. Nope. Can't seem to find it. Of course I can't when I actually need it. See. Nope. Okay, never mind. One of the organizers is the original programmer from Argonaut for Star Fox. And, he stopped by, played the game a little bit, which was really chill, and we got to see actually the artist for Star Fox and Majora's Mask play a little bit on stage. They were, I believe they were playing bass for a bit, which was really nice. I wanted to get the names correct here, but Google, as is tradition, is failing quite hard right now, so I'm sure someone already remembers the name in chat. I am completely brain-locked right now, so I'll remember it later. So yeah, we got to run into a lot of really lovely people over there. And of course, one of the great things is that there were actually quite a lot of old pixel artists that I've known for quite a while that had the opportunity to show up at Bit Summit. And I gotta be honest, it's so weird because, like, I used to travel to GDC almost every single year and do meetups with the other pixel artists and developers and people that I knew. That was like a yearly trek that pretty much everyone did. And then GDC started to change and the pricing changed and it started to become really difficult to travel to San Francisco. And then we all sort of stopped somewhere in the ballpark of like 10 to 7 years ago. And suddenly they were all here in Kyoto, which was really weird. In the best way possible. Like, it sort of felt like it was back at the old GDC days. And of course, the rest of the show floor stuff, I mean, it was a lot of meetings and talks, chatting with people about, you know, business. But the one thing that I think is a really interesting story is what happens sort of right in the middle. Now, some of you that have been following mine and D-Pad's accounts already know where this is going, but it's still an interesting story, so I'm going to tell it anyway. So, it's, yeah, I'd say relatively early on, I believe it was day 2 at the show floor. And, you know, we're standing around, we're doing our thing, people are coming by, people are playing. And then a group of people show up and go, hey, congratulations, you're nominated for an award. And I go, oh, that's great. Thank you so much. And they go, yep. So you should prepare to present your game. You're going to be called up on stage, and you are going to be talking about your game in front of a live audience. I mean, this isn't something new for me. I'm pretty used to doing talks in front of crowds. But what he told me, in not so many words, was that you're going to be holding a presentation about your game in front of a bunch of people. And I'm kind of like, yeah, right, I can do that. I just have to assume that English is fine. The thing is, on the first day, there was a game pitch session. Essentially, on business days, a bunch of people get an allotted space on stage, and they talk about their video game and like pitch it to potential investors and that sort of thing. And we were actually slated to join that, but then I found out last minute that they were expecting the entire presentation, including all of the text on screen, to be in Japanese. And we did not have an interpreter on hand. So I declined. So we did not end up doing that. And now this person shows up and says, you're going to hold a presentation about your game. And I'm kind of like, but last time this happened, no one could deal with the English. So is this going to be fine? But I was kind of busy with a lot of other things, so I skimped on a few things. So they left, and I was like, well, alright, I guess I'm holding a presentation then. That's fine. If people can't understand it, then that's very unfortunate, but I mean, they nominated us for an award, so I at least have to show up. A little bit of time passes, and I come back to the booth, and there is a volunteer worker there who does not speak English, who is holding out a USB drive, and we couldn't quite figure out what was going on. So we managed to get an interpreter on hand. Really nice guy, helped us a lot. And what we figured out was that he was asked to come and collect the trailer for our game and all the art assets that we had available for it. And that's a problem, because on one hand, we didn't bring any art assets, because we're here to present the game, not to, you know, put stuff up on a website or something. And the other thing is that this venue, very specifically, does not have internet access. So apparently this is required for this presentation. So I gotta figure it out. So we find someone with a one of those mobile broadband things. We managed to hook up to that. I go into some local files that I have, move it over to one of our laptops, download our things, and get it onto that USB stick. The guy thanks us and runs off, and that's the last I hear of it. So I'm kind of like, okay, must be a pretty big deal if they need all those art assets. Still don't know what this thing is, but it sounds cool. So that's where we're at that point. And day keeps going. Finally, maybe like an hour before this thing is about to happen, the same person who informed us about the nomination shows up to the booth again and has a bunch of people with him to play the game. And I kind of just have to be honest and ask him, you know, I'll be frank with you. Last time I didn't catch who it was that nominated us. Who was that again? And he goes, oh, well, it's us. We nominated you. We're PlayStation. And I realized that that's the entire PlayStation staff sitting there playing our game right now. So that's interesting. PlayStation, the company, has nominated us for an award. Okay. Alright. That changes things a little bit. So he goes, yeah, so you need to go and sit in these chairs over by the stage that you've been at this entire time. And you have to wait there until the entire hall clears out. Alright, guess we're doing that. So as we're standing there waiting for whatever this thing is to happen, the organizers for the Norwegian Film Fund, who help fund our projects, shows up. And they're like, hey, so how many people have you had at your booth? You know, they like to riff us on that kind of thing. And like we talk back and forth a little bit. And I let it slip that, oh yeah, and we were nominated for an award or something. And they're like, you're nominated for an award, you say? Well, I guess we all have to sit there and stare at you while this happens now. Hopefully it's something important. So their representative goes and sits in the crowd. So the stakes start to get higher now. I'm kind of just, I still don't know what this is. And that's my fault. You have to remember, I am sleep deprived. I have done a lot of stuff at this point, and I'm in work mode. So there's clearly some bits that I'm missing, but I don't have time to figure out what those are yet. So we're just gonna have to roll with it. Anyway, well, I guess it's time. We all get called over to the stage. Julie is not allowed to sit with me, so I have to sit in this like VIP seating, and then the speakers start blaring. Everyone else has left the hall, so it's only developers left. And yep, it's definitely an award show. An award show completely in Japanese. And unfortunately, very unfortunately, I don't speak a lick of Japanese, so I do not understand what's happening. So I'm kind of just, I'm hoping that I'll be able to like suss this out before something weird happens. So the person next to me gets called up. They walk up to the stage, they receive a medal, and they get some words from the person that's presenting them. They are asked to walk up to the mic, and they say a couple of words. and then they step down. And then the other person next to me does the same thing. And then like 3 or 4 other people keep getting called up. And they're all winning awards from some kind of sponsor or some kind of like selection committee. That's when I start to realize this, of course, is not a game presentation. I'm supposed to be holding an acceptance speech. But I can only speak English. So I'm like, okay, well, we're just gonna have to brave it anyway. I'm gonna have to go up there and I'm gonna have to do my best as kindly as I can. And I'll just wait for their cue. I've memorized what it is that they're the words that they say before you go to the microphone. And then I'm gonna do my best and just gonna head back to my chair. And I realize all of this as they call my name. And I'm like, okay, well, we're in it now, so we're doing this. Okay. So we're just gonna go up there, they're gonna hand me a medal for something. So apparently I have won. And then they're gonna say some words, and I'm gonna walk up to the microphone and I'm gonna just be as thankful as I possibly can for them being kind enough for nominating us for a thing. And I walk up there, and they hand me a medal, and I turn to the person who is speaking in perfect English, and then as I'm like, okay, we've done the thing, I'm gonna turn now and I'm gonna walk over to the microphone. He turns around and hands me an entire PlayStation 5. Just the whole box. I was the only person this happened to. And I'm just, what is happening right now? And they keep talking, and off screen I am being signaled that in Japanese that I have to turn the PlayStation to show the crowd so they can see the logo. So I am dazed and confused at this point, and I walk over there to the microphone, and I'm ready to do this thing, and the sound guy sees my height and desperately tries to adjust the microphone to be level right as I step up to it. Then finally, I'm like, hey, I don't speak Japanese, but this is really kind of you, and it's been really nice to see everyone play the game and enjoying themselves, despite language barriers, and thank you for having me. And as I finish my sentence, it turns out the host is an absolute madman and can remember every single little thing I said and translated it perfectly without stopping the second I was done talking. It was incredible. So, yeah. After that, I had to carry a PlayStation 5 through the rain in Kyoto, and then somehow figure out how to stuff this thing in a gigantic suitcase and bring it back home somehow. Very strange experience, but I gotta say, the whole thing was a great time. I loved bits of it. It was fun. Not even for the award show, just like the mood was really good. Now, I've said all of this, and I've given my rendition. Oh, pausing the music, that's perfect. So if you want to see what all of this that I just spoke about looks like live from the audience, I can show you because NFI filmed the whole thing. So yeah, you're going to be jump scared by the real me, but most of you already know what I look like, so don't worry so much about that. So here's what happened, and I'll try to play the whole thing. See here, just give me a second, and all right. So yeah, this is from the audience's perspective.
Konnichiwa, PlayStation John Vega des. It's a pleasure to be back at Bit Summit in 2026, seeing all these amazing games on show from fantastic creators around the world. And the PlayStation Award for Bit Summit 2026 goes to Vikings on Trampolines by Deepad Studio.
はい、おめでとうございます。それでは開発者のシーモン・アンデルソンさん、どうぞステージにお越しください。さあ、こちらは副賞でプレイステーション5本体も贈られます。おめでとうございます。シーモンさん、お受け取りください。はい、少々重みあるかもしれませんが、このまま受賞の決め手をお聞かせいただきたいと思いますので、ジョンさんお願いいたします。
So yeah, we picked this game as our favorite as it's awesome. Like it's great in single player, but it's also great in multiplayer as well, which I really think is where the fun of this game is. You can jump around, you have to always be hitting the trampoline, that's a challenge to do that. And we just think it's a great game for playing with friends and playing with family. So yeah, that's why we chose the game.
ゲームを選んだりやっぱりこう解きながらですね、いろいろと楽しめるっていうのは本当にいいんですよね。でもちろんですね、友達と一緒に楽しめるし、このちょうど程よく難しさ、ここのバランスがとっても良かったので選んでおります。
はい、それでは受賞者のシーモンさん、せっかくなので表面向けましょうか。
ね、the box around. The box, turn the box around.
なかなかね、逆に見ることないかもしれませんが、せっかくですのでありがとうございます。はい、ではシーモンさん、コメントをお願いいたします。
Thank you so much for having me here. Unfortunately, they don't speak Japanese, but maybe we can fix that later.
日本語話せないけど、後で学びます。
It's we were here 10 years ago, so thank you so much for having us back. When we came up with Vikings and Trampolines, we wanted a game that anyone could play. And when we came up with the idea that you could control an entire game using only your one hand, it turns out it opens the door for a number of people. You can play with your kids, you can even have people with disabilities that can access the game, and now you can all play together. And seeing everyone here play it at the show floor has been so wonderful. So thank you so much.
10年前に実はビットサミットいたんですけども、私たちをまた迎えてくれて本当にありがとうございます。私たちのその当初の目的としてはですね、片手でプレイできるという、すごいそれほど簡単な操作を目指していたんですけども、それを行うことによってさまざまなプレイヤーに扉が開いたと思うんですよね。開きました。もちろんお子様も楽しめますし、体の不自由な方ももちろん十分に楽しめると、このようなゲームを作ることができました。本当に皆さん、今回の受賞ありがとうございます。
はい、シーモンさん、改めましてプレイステーション賞の受賞おめでとうございました。ジョンさんもありがとうございました。
So there's that. Really interesting time. Honestly, the whole event was just very charming. So I'm of course thankful for the nomination and everything, but I think what's nice about that moment in particular was that it gave me the opportunity to mention some of the features that we've been able to add recently into Vikings. Just the fact that we figured out that the game is a lot more accessible to people than we initially thought has really opened our eyes to the fact that it can bridge some gaps that we didn't know was possible before. So the fact that I got the opportunity to share that with the audience as well was really nice. Congrats on the award. Thank you. Yeah, no, the translation the guy did was incredible. I of course can't fact check it. I have no way of doing that, but considering his speed, I can only assume that he did a great job. So yeah, that's been Bit Summit. It's been it's frankly just been a really nice time. Like I also think this was something that I definitely needed. A lot of what we've been doing here at the home office and with the game's development and everything means that we don't get to be as close to people as I'd like us to be. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that conventions are pretty expensive. It's difficult to get there. Getting booth space is difficult. It's there's a lot of difficulties when it comes to showing your games in person. And Vikings is definitely one of those games that benefits from being shown in person. But I think more so than anything, it's nice to be reminded that real people exist. Because I think this is sort of a standard for most developers, being whether you're a developer or you're an artist or just someone that does something vaguely creative at all, is that it's just nice to see people interacting with the stuff that you make. That's really the main thing. And for me, that is like such a major point of my inspiration. Like when I see people interacting with the stuff that we make, that inspires me to do new things with it. Like the reason why I made that Mina the Hollower mock-up so fast when I got back was that I already had that energy from just speaking to like-minded people. And that is kind of the challenge when you live in a place like Norway, is that it's quite isolating for people with my kind of interests. And I don't even mean video game design. I mean, I have very particular sensibilities when it comes to the kind of media and the things that inspire me. And those people are not always around here. So when I get to go out and I get to speak to people that have that same sort of vibe, and you can really let those ideas flow a little bit, then I don't know. Sometimes you need that spark a little bit. It motivates you to see people enjoying the game in person, I assume. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I mean, even from just the practical standpoint, seeing people play is always the best way to determine how things should move forward. You can't be 100% reliant on it, of course, but when you get those small moments where you see people really connecting with something that you've made, that means the world. Like, it really does. That just moves something in your brain. What surprised me is how often some people confuse your mock-up for real projects on social media. I mean, that is kind of the thing, is that some of my job has been to present pitches for games that are to be made. And there's a few of them, even though I can't speak too much about them, that have actually been produced as a result of those mock-ups that I've done internally. So it is part of my job to make my mock-ups look like they are real. And I mean, that is it is kind of fun when people sort of take the things that I make literally and get inspired to really want those things to exist. Like I have quite a few mock-ups that I've done either for fun or as a side project that I would love to pick up and make an actual project out of. It's more so there's a lot of red tape, unfortunately, so you can't just have a project. But the other is that I'm so bogged down with other things that I want to do that sometimes I just can't make it a reality, even though it's just sitting right there. What I'm hoping is that after Vikings is complete, that'll open the floodgates a little bit for us to experiment with some other stuff. But there's been quite a few projects in recent times that I just have decided not to share. Now I could put it out there just so I can kind of claim the concepts, I suppose, but the main thing is that if I put those mock-ups out there now, it would feel really bad knowing that I can't make them myself. So I'm sitting on a at least handful of things that are kind of fun little mock-up experiments that I've done that I'm just not posting anywhere because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I have a desire to make these things a reality. And I think more so than anything, I would feel frustrated that I couldn't get those to fruition as fast as possible. But again, I'm hoping with getting to the finish line with Vikings and getting some proper rest without feeling guilt, that things can start moving again. Because I mean, I've spoken about this a couple of times before, so this isn't anything new. But the last time this happened, I needed to take a break because of severe burnout, and I took an entire year off. And the intent was that I was going to be able to do other things because I would be rested out. Now, full disclosure, I did not end up doing anything. Okay, I barely even drew for a year. Made almost no art. And I think that also speaks to how necessary it was. But I think the thing about when I did that was we were still in a bind when that happened. Like, without going into too much detail, there was a lot of things that were still very uncertain, and the future was very much up in the air at that point. Which meant that, yeah, I was taking time off, but it was essentially, am I risking the entire future because I am too wrecked to do anything? And what I'm hoping is that with Vikings complete, because I do actually think it's a really good game at this point. Like, it's genuinely fun to play. with Vikings complete, and maybe a bunch of people playing it and enjoying it and having a good time, maybe for the first time in a very long time, I will feel guilt-free, and I can just make some really weird stuff. I'm hoping that's where I'll get to be. Because frankly, the most creative that I tend to be is just when I have the opportunity to goof around with something where I don't feel like, well, I have to wrap this up now because tomorrow all hell breaks loose or something. So we'll see. Right now, my focus is on making Vikings as good as I can possibly make it, and then we'll see. If you're curious what it is that we're doing, let me see here. I believe this one doesn't have any sound on it, so I can just grab that real fast. Hold on. Let me just move that out of the way. Can you see my... Nope, you can't. Okay. Let's see. For example, here's something that I was working on the other day. Whoop. That is very large. You can kind of see really channeling that that metal slug over here. So I'm working on some water splash effects because we are currently working on some of the adventure mode stages, and this one in particular is going to have quite a few moving parts and machinery and everything. Of course, if I spoil all of that now, I think it'll be a lot less fun, but things are moving forward. Donny Friday, I love that project so much. You know... Well, I won't say too much. The great thing about Donny Friday is that it ties into quite a few plans that I have. But we'll see if I can make it line up. Right now, I have had that on hiatus for a little while, even though I've been working on Season 2 off and on. And it's mainly, I'm realizing that it's a little bit too much right now. But, believe you me, I have plans for it. But again, I think probably the healthiest is that I get this other thing out of the way. Because if we're, well, full disclosure, being the only artist on a project with art assets as big as Vikings, it becomes a little all-consuming. You really do have to commit completely to getting all of those bits done. So making a full-length cartoon at the same time, I've realized is a little ambitious. So I'm going to make the assumption that whatever I do with Donny Friday is probably going to be once Vikings is complete. But I mean, I know I say this every year because it's kind of a joke at this point, but I mean, no matter what, Vikings can't continue being developed beyond next year. So, Vikings will be coming out next year. And I feel like I've said that a couple of times before, but in this case, there's some reasons that make us lock into that. So I know that Vikings is coming out in 2027, but it's really just how much can we get done, and can we get it done in a healthy way? Because there's one thing is to ship a title, the other one is to ship a title while you feel like you're having a mental breakdown. Like, we've shipped so many games where it feels like you're dying, because everything piles up at the end. And the dream scenario is that you finish things ahead of time, and then you can kind of ease into that process. Like, have some things ready ahead of time. That actually is a pretty good segue that I should mention. So, okay, everyone that's watching the stream, I would like you to pay attention for just like 3 seconds, because this will be important if you're in the Oslo area. So anyone in Norway or Sweden or Denmark or anywhere close to that, in 4 days, I'll be appearing at MagicCon. That'll be the 20th and the 21st. So, here's the important part. First, we'll be bringing the latest version of Vikings and Trampolines, so you'll get to play a little bit of the adventure mode with some of the bosses and the scrolling stages and everything else, and the newest version of the Versus mode. The second, I can't promise this, but I'm going to try and make it happen. We're going to be bringing Owlboy merch, because we have a lot of merch stored up. So if everything goes according to plan, we're going to be selling that in Oslo. So if you're there during that time, now would be a good time to drop by. Third thing, on the last day, I believe it's at roughly about 5 o'clock, 1700, I'll be holding a presentation about the history of D-pad and our development of Vikings and Trampolines, and that'll be a 45-minute presentation. So if you're at all interested in anything that we do, I'll be there in person, I'll be explaining it, you can pick up some merch there, and you get to play the latest version. Alright, you can go back to what you were doing. PSA is over. But that is the reason why I only have tonight to do this live stream, because tomorrow I will be prepping presentations, I will be checking what inventory we have for potential merch for the booth, building the booth, and preparing our trip there. So that's definitely not a lot of time for me to prepare all of this stuff. I always feel like I need to do it earlier, but frankly, I did need a little bit of a break after Japan, so thankfully it wasn't too close, so it allowed me to have a little bit of breathing room before we jumped right back onto stuff. Now, we've done 2 conventions this year. It's Bit Summit, and we also appeared at the Nordic Game Conference in Sweden at roughly the same time. So, Juremi Madsen, the co-CEO and our lead programmer, handled that one. So, once I'm done at MagicCon, that'll be our last convention until Gamescom in August. So the good thing, at least for me, is that once we're at the finish line with Magicon and we've gotten all of that out of the way, it allows a little bit more breathing room after that, so that I can take in all of this feedback that I've received, and we can add that into the new levels that we're working on. But that's going to be an interesting moment, because we haven't seen all that much of the Norwegian game scene in the past short while. Because we haven't had time to set up something in the local scene. So the fact that we get to do a larger thing at a venue is... the timing is really good. So it'll be interesting to see how people react to the new stuff. Because the thing is, every time we show off Vikings to people, there's that divide there where you have people that really want sort of like a party fighting game. And I feel like that bridges the gap a lot. There's a ton of people that can't play fighting games that really enjoy Vikings. But there is a challenge here in the sense that a lot of people just don't want to do fighting games. They just want to hang out and have a good time. And that's where we're seeing the adventure mode really open up that floor. Like, there's a ton of people that we've seen play recently that really gravitate towards the adventure mode, especially when you have, you know, both parents there with their kid, and one of the parents is like, no, I don't play video games, I'm not a video game person, and then we put them on the adventure mode, and suddenly they're all having a good time together. Like, that's what I want. But it's all theoretical until I actually see it happen in person, so fingers crossed that we get a good reaction from people. I still tell people the story you shared about the blind father and son playing at TGS. Well, they weren't blind. They were deaf. I feel like if they were blind, then we would have a problem, unfortunately. I don't think we're going to be able to add a blind mode to Vikings. I am terribly sorry. But yes. Yeah, the deaf family that came by and played Vikings at TGS is still one of my favorite memories from the game's development. Just the fact that we managed to open that up to where they could speak one-handed ASL with each other to communicate, and that it was actually an advantage for once. Imagine always feeling like you're struggling to keep up with the people that you're playing, and then suddenly you have a superpower now that you have your other hand available. That was, I guess it would be JSL, not a ASL. I'm not really sure if what Japan's sign language is called. That's just my ignorance speaking, unfortunately. Hey, Guardian. What's up? Oh, yeah. I should probably mention something real quick. Since we're on random announcements of things. So, very quickly, because I feel like I have it right here. Yes, I do. So, there's another reason why I'm doing this live stream tonight, of all days. And it's very specifically that we are finally caught up. I have managed to upload all of the recent live streams that we've done to the Snakepixel archive channel, which you can find here. And that means that now, after I'm done with a live stream, I can just upload that directly. I don't really have to do all that much preamble for it. I can just grab that and put it up. So no longer do we have to do the thing where we sit and wait, or just have to go back to Twitch to watch episodes. Now I can finally just do it live. Oh yeah, and also I uploaded that Yoshi video that I did there as well. So if you wanted a place that you can link that from an official source, now you have it. Because it's never been uploaded anywhere other than Twitter. I just never saw a reason to do it. But then I was like, you know what, this channel isn't that serious, I can just put that up there. So yeah, if you're late to these streams and you haven't caught them on, or you're like, I wanted to see something in particular, now you can find those at the archive channel. Now, there's still like about 100 videos or so that I haven't uploaded from older live streams, but we'll take that as we go. Because a lot of those I did not do quite as professionally as I do them now. One of the oldest ones is one where I painted, I think it was like Zero from Mega Man X, and I was listening through it because I want to check everything that's in there. And usually it's, you know, I can only listen to it at 2x speed because otherwise it's completely illegible. So I was doing that, and then right in the middle of it, I say, and I quote, "Well, screw it. I'm not going to do anything in particular with these live streams anyway, so I'm just going to play copyrighted music." Which means pretty much that entire live stream, if I were to upload that, I just have to rip all of that out and put custom sounds on top of it. So, yeah, there's a good bit of that. There's some live streams where there's some kind of technical difficulty and I lose like 20 minutes or something where no one can hear me, and then you have to find that, recut it, upload it. It's a whole thing. And considering I mostly do this as a hobby, I think let's just start where we're at right now, and then just keep that ball rolling for now. And if I find the energy, then I'll cut up those old live streams and put them up there. But for now, let's just keep it up to date. Let's see. Do I have any other news to share? Well, that was an interesting thing that I came across in Japan. So, like, in the most positive way that I can say it, like, just because of very unfortunate world events, the Norwegian krona is very strong right now, which meant that just by coincidence, when I traveled to Kyoto, things were pretty cheap for me. And that's really unusual. It's not very usual for me to be able to travel somewhere and not have to worry about how much I'm spending. But that translated over to everything, including the used video game shops that I found. So I found some pretty incredible things. I got sealed copies of Final Fantasy VI, Trials of Mana, also named Secret of Mana 3. I found Yoshi's Island. So I've put all of those in my little collection of only the games that I care about, along with a sealed copy of Chrono Trigger. So now I have that. But I also found something else. Now this was not cheap, but it was cheap for probably what it is. So I found a boxed copy of Mega Man X3 on the Super Nintendo. And I'm a little bit biased towards that one. Like, I prefer the PC slash PlayStation version. And the reason why I'm a bit biased towards it is it was a game developed by a sub-studio. They were the ones that were handling Mega Man 4 and 5 on the Game Boy. And Mega Man 5 on the Game Boy is an excellent game. And they were not given, like, a ton of wiggle room for that. So the fact that they managed to make a game that good, despite all of that, is, I find it really admirable. So I've always had a soft spot for that one. The thing is, depending on what region you're in, Mega Man X3 is crazy expensive. Like, I believe the Saturn version goes for somewhere around $4,000. So I'm of course not going to be talking what I got these things for. That's not really the point. But the fact that I could just walk into a random store and find that easily and readily available just sitting there, and I could pick that up, is just insane to me. And I'm saying that you have to understand the context here. My town has one game store. A singular one. It's in an old warehouse building, and it only exists because the people that run it gathered up all of the material from all the other game stores that had shut down, and they're able to just have the store open once a week. That's what they can afford. So the fact that I could just walk into a game store and pick up stuff like that, it was just incredible to me. Like, the state of physical media, at least here, is dire. So that was a very positive experience. Let's see. What have I actually done so far? Let me just check that. Okay. It is improving. Slowly but surely. Let's see. There was something that didn't quite sit right with this, so I'm gonna try and fix it. Can I make that look right? Maybe if I do it this way. Does that look right? Yeah, I think so. I think that's the strange thing about this kind of setting, because when I'm doing this kind of thing, when I'm doing live streams, my brain is at the very least like 40% on the conversation, so it becomes a very different kind of painting that I do. So it's always interesting to see, like, after the fact, when I'm going over and I'm checking what I've done. It's like, huh, those were some strange choices that I made while I was busy babbling about something. You know what? This has like a weird gradient that I don't think I want. I'll try to fix that. I think probably this was an accident. We're a distraction. I mean, in a very positive way. In a very positive way. Chat is like my cat. Like a wonderful little distraction every day. We have no game stores in the village where I live. Yeah, that is unfortunately pretty common these days. And I keep hearing people talking about, you know, that there's going to be this return to physical media, and all the youngins are clamoring for the days of physical media, but I feel like I'll wait and see if that materializes into something real. It's kind of like the vinyl market, where everyone's just like, yeah, everyone's buying vinyl now. Well, not everyone is buying vinyl. There's a very particular niche, a group of people that buy vinyl. But is that going to be something that then translates into, I don't know, physical media being preserved at large or not? And I think that's really the part that I care a lot about, is whether or not that translates into something where at scale people have the things that they own and care about available to them. Like, when I say that I buy these physical copies of video games, I'm not doing that because, I don't know, that I'm trying to look neat or something. It's the fact that I've already played these games, and they mean a lot to me. And even though I probably will not be playing those physical versions, I want to have them so that they will exist and they will persist. Like, I will be able to at least care for those copies myself. That's also why it's so important to me that every game D-pad releases, that it has a physical release of some kind. Because, like, even if the world forgets and trends move along and things stop mattering to people, at least I'll know that I'll be able to maintain that in that little pocket of where I exist. Like, there is a physical object here that I can be the custodian of that will persist into the future. Like, at some point, the we'll run out of physical copies of Owlboy, and that'll kind of just be it. Unless there's a reprint or it gets ported to a new device that can still support those things, and that's sort of it. That's what you have. So making sure that is perpetuated in some way, where it's available to people, is important. And I realize the argument is always just like, well, digital copies, etc., etc. But, I mean, if there's anything we've learned from current internet trends, it's that whatever is available in a digital setting is certainly not forever. And finding ways of preserving things outside of that is monumentally important. If I ever release a good game, even if it doesn't get big enough for a physical copy in the public, I would totally spend the money for a custom personal one. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's also the reason why, like, once I frickin' have the time to, I'm gonna be releasing so many damn art books. Because I feel like, you need those things to be in a physical form of some kind. Like, it needs to enter the material world. Like, it is a strange thought sometimes. Like, not to get too existential here or anything, but it's weird when, like, you have someone, let's say that they've built a chair or carved something in wood or something. It's almost guaranteed that that thing will persist longer than the person will. I mean, for me, the whole concept of creating and culture is interlinked. And so having things that are examples of how to perpetuate good culture, I think is important. Good culture sounds so condescending. That is not what I meant. Like, examples of things that we want to keep, I think, is the main thing, because I feel like everyone talks too much about things that they hate. Like, some amount of time has to be spent on what do you actually want to persist? What do you want to keep? What is worth preserving for either the future or for perpetuity? Like, as silly as it is, as an example that's a little bit more down to earth, I have the Capcom Design Works art book. I don't have a lot of art books. I don't just like frivolously buy things to have it just sitting around in my house. That thing I've looked through that thing so many times, and it's because it's part of an era, and it's not just like Capcom stuff specifically, but it's part of an era whose design I feel is like unbelievably crystallized, and there's so much to learn from that particular period. Stuff that at least I feel many forget, or maybe have passed by in modern times. So I wanted that book because I wanted some remnants of that to be preserved. That's sort of the philosophy that I go by. On the subject of physical media, I recently read a graphic novel, and it was dare nothing about it online. I mean, more to the power of why physical media is important. I even hate calling it physical media because it gives that implication that everything isn't a physical element anyway. Just this kind of conditioning language. There's a weird thought that's been cropping up in my brain every once in a while that ever since it hit my brain, it's just been stuck in there. You know what? I'll subject you to it too. Why not? So my house has a little like fastener for a flag on it, and you only use it for very particular occasions, like 17th of May or birthdays or that kind of thing. But it's kind of like, okay, you have it so you can use it. So I was like, okay, I'm not really going to use this all that much, but since I have a thing to have a flag, why don't I buy a flag so I have it? And we went out and we bought a flag. And on the flag, it said, "This flag has anti-twist technology." And what it is that it has a little like ring on it so that when the flag turns around on itself, it'll just spin around instead of getting tangled. Spoiler alert, it doesn't work at all. It gets tangled constantly. But that made me think about the term technology. Because I don't know about everyone else, but technology as a term to me just sounds like it means magic. Like, there's nothing to that term. Like, you can call anything technology. But what if... Hear me out. What if instead of using the term technology, we say mechanism? This flag has an anti-turn mechanism. And the thing about that is, now it's related to something physical, and you're starting to think about, well, what are the actual mechanics that are involved in this? What is the physical property that stops this from doing the thing? And if you want to take it a step further, you can use that for practically anything, including computers. Like, what are chips and motherboards and everything, if not a physical object that has a mechanical property? This has an updated render mechanism. And then, of course, I'm assuming that someone will say, well, that's not completely correct, though, because there's like electronics and stuff that's involved in it. But that's kind of the thing, though. Like, all of these things are physical elements. It feels like more of an honest way of talking about how objects work. Instead of saying, this motherboard has rendering technology. What does that mean? Well, it means that we have more bits and bobs on the pins that makes it do certain things, and then we have software that runs through a physical element that renders it in a particular way. Like, these are all physical things. But I feel like we've gotten into this habit where we call everything technology, and therefore it's like, if something does something new, well, I guess it's just magic then. How does my microwave work? Who knows? It's technology. Forgive my curiosity, but what was the significance of May 17th that you mentioned? May 17th is the Norwegian Constitutional Day. So, when... so Norway has been a country for quite some time, but at some point we were... we ended up under Danish rule, and then I forget exactly how it happened, but I believe we were given as a gift to Sweden at one point. So even though we were our own country, we were technically not sovereign. So after some conflict with the Swedish, we ended the conflict by drafting our own constitution, and that went into effect on May 17th. And May 17th is a very, very big deal here. Like, Norway's not a big country. We don't have a lot of people. I believe we're about 5 million. And May 17th, you go out and you parade. I don't mean that you go and watch a parade. I mean that you put on your either your best outfit or your traditional outfit. Usually it's a bunad. And you go out and you parade yourself. You walk in the street with everyone else. So it's a pretty big thing, and it's one of the few times where you actually flag at random here. We're not a particularly nationalistic country. I feel like this is one of the few times where we've earned like the opportunity to be like, hey, you know what? This should probably be celebrated. That's also why the country is listed as only being like 100 or so years old, even though Norway is ancient. It's because every other country only counts it from after we regained independence. Before that, we were kind of a vassal state, more or less. I think it's a little bit on my mind simply because it almost just happened. It's we celebrated May 17th right before we headed on the plane to Japan. We had some visitors over from Great Britain while that was happening, and it's always like an interesting time to be like, hey, okay, so I know everyone has their like national day and everything, but I cannot undersell you how many people it's going to be for how tiny of a place this is. So just prepare yourself ahead of time. Like, you are not going to be able to get anywhere. There is no transportation. Unless you're taking the pre-designated buses, you are stuck. Nothing is open. Just be ready. Let's see. All right. How are we looking so far? Okay. We're getting pretty close to getting the writer finished at the very least. What are we at? We are at... let's see here. Oh, that was what is happening. Never mind. What is that?
Decaf.
Is that decaf?
Decaf.
Decaf!
Decaf.
Thank you. In case it wasn't obvious, I received some decaf. Sorry about the little distraction there. Apparently, Joe noticed the new assets that I'd put up. Without spoiling too much, today I finished a giant hunk of a machine. I'm not kidding when I'm saying that I'm channeling Metal Slug this week. If they can't give me the IP for that so I can make a new one, then I'll put it in Vikings. I'll do it myself. See. Okay, let's get that that head frill done. I don't know why this part in particular is making me feel like this is going to take longer than I think. Don't really think I need to do anything particular with this, just maybe add a little bit more definition. Shouldn't be more than that, right? Like that, maybe. Yeah. Speaking of things I've worked on, this has been kind of a strange week because I haven't really had much opportunity to think of much other than just what I need to do for this convention that we're doing. I've been working on some character animations, which I think that's going to be a pretty big deal moving forward. I just have to have enough time for that. I wish I could say more, but yeah, no, I'm working on characters for Vikings, and I don't know. I think it's really fun to work on character design and expanding the roster and everything. That's absolutely my jam, but it always has to be put off because of other tasks. So I'm really really curious where that'll go. But there's a different thing that I've also messed around with a little bit. And the thing is, I don't really think I'll be able to show this for a very long time, simply because just judging by what happened with some of my other mock-ups, unless I can actually use it for something, I don't think I want to put it out, at least not now, because frankly I think people will just sample the tiles and everything. So I'll keep that more of a secret for now. But all that other stuff aside, I was looking through some really old mock-ups that I did. Like, I don't even know how many years ago this was. I can't have been that old. I think I probably just started messing with, like, what was it, Click and Play back then? So I must have been in, like, my early teens, probably? I'll see if I can find the exact image. Which one would it be? I have like a folder of unbelievably old stuff. Yeah, there it is. One of my brothers clearly resaved this image because the name of the file is sorry. I think someone saw that, just saved it to the hard drive on our old computer, and used that as then closed it down so they could use the computer for whatever. Okay, I don't think this is the original creation date of this file, but it's listed as 2001. So it's at least old. It's very old. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I think it's kind of funny. You know what? I'll just throw this up on screen as is. It's not going to look great, but there you go. Let's see. Yeah, my face stopped moving there for a second. So here's an interesting little thing that I found. So this is one of my earlier RPG mock-ups. Probably one of my earliest. And as you can see, we have our very obvious Chrono Trigger analog with ambiguous lady and guy with hat. Those are some designs. They certainly are designs. But I kind of enjoy how it's this really weird merger of a bunch of different games. Clearly, I'd played Chrono Trigger. Like, that much is obvious. But very clearly, I had just played Breath of Fire either 1 or 2. I believe this is inspired by 1. Because the background detail is clearly very tile-based. That is tough to look at. But I'm pretty sure that one of the guards in Breath of Fire 1 also holds their sword like that, and then they just kind of move the arm forward to make a slashing motion. Now, the reason why I put this on screen is because I made an attempt to redraw it. So, sort of casually, because I've already made that mock-up of how I would envision a Breath of Fire, I don't know, 7 would look like. And then I saw this thing, and I'm like, oh, I've done this kind of thing before. So I just started redrawing this with sort of redesigns of all the old characters, sort of in a more modern contemporary style. And then I realized, well, first off, I'm just kind of recreating the Breath of Fire mock-up. But the other thing is that this is turning out quite detailed. And unless I'm actually going to use it for something, it would be kind of weird to just throw that up online just for people to copy-paste into, I don't know, their iPhone projects or whatever. So, rest assured, I have made something, but it's probably going to be one of those that's hidden on my hard drive for a little bit, and maybe I'll turn that into something in the future. It is a really interesting one, though, because it's part of... Oh, what was I thinking? I created a video game when I was very young called World. And the brilliant idea that I had is that I wanted to do some sort of meta thing where, well, I am the one making this game, right? Which means that I am the creator of that game. So everyone just talks to me like I'm some sort of deity. Well, talks about me. But the purpose of the game is literally just that you walk around and you look at stuff. Like you just walk around, see what's in said world, and then you, I don't know, guess you get to see it. So there were like a couple of towns in there. It was like a fishing hamlet. There was a, there was like a large city inspired by Greek architecture because I was really fascinated by that at the time. I made like a Colosseum thing where you could participate in sprint, and there was also a like crossbow minigame kind of a thing. None of it has any purpose. It's just there to like give you stuff to do to give the place more flavor, because you're really only there to see sort of my creation kind of a thing. But ever since I made that, I've made attempts to make new versions of it. So I started working on a World 2, which was a straight-up Zelda-like. Instead of a sword, you used a magic wand, and you went through dungeons, you fought like a big turtle boss and things. And I actually got pretty far, but unfortunately, due to some sort of error in the program, the engine that I used crashed, so I couldn't finish it. I honestly feel like if that hadn't have happened, my career would have taken a very different turn. Because I was completing games completely by my own at that point. I couldn't program, but I'm pretty sure that if I'd continued down that path, maybe I would have learned. Because that ended up crashing, I was never able to finish it. So I started working with other people instead. But ever since then, I started working on a World 3, and then I started working on a World 4, and I think I've attempted like 7 World games. Even one that I attempted like, was it like 4 years ago? Just as like a small little exploration thing that I was doing. but I ended up making the world so detailed, and it was right in that time when we had some very extreme deadlines, and we were working on Samant Descent Remix. So I ended up having to shelve that for my own mental health. My point is, I have so many almost world games that are almost a thing. And that mock-up that I just showed was my first attempt at World 3. I even made a whole, like, area where you walk around with this Chrono-looking guy. It's very obviously just Chrono with a different coat of paint. And I remember I made like an area where you explore like a beach area and everything. So this was a very real thing that I was working on for a bit. I changed the design at one point, and I think I was very inspired by Breath of Fire. I think it's not technically Breath of Fire 5, but let's call it that anyway. Dragon Quarter. So it was very similar to that. It had a lot of inspirational cues from that. So that mock-up is a pretty important part of my history. In fact, that character, even though he's very Chrono-like, is probably one of the reasons I was so drawn to Project Rhapsody, which is how I ended up meeting all of the people that would eventually become D-Pad Studio. Because their main character was a red-headed guy that had a sword, which was very reminiscent of the redesigned version of that character from that mock-up. So, strange everything. What's kind of interesting about all of this, though, because it's starting to dawn on me, because I've been looking at all of the assets that I've done for Vikings on Trampolines, because Vikings on Trampolines, full disclosure, has a bizarrely large resolution. Like, the assets for it are enormous. And it means that I have a lot of assets for Vikings and Trampolines. And I was looking through all of that, and I was like, maybe we could use some of this for something else at some point. And then I started looking through, like, what else I have. And I have, like, at least a full game's worth of RPG tiles and character stuff at this point. Like, I have so much RPG stuff just sitting there ready to be used. It's just that RPGs are scary as hell. They are difficult to work on. They are very risky and they're very large. But it means that if it turns out that something RPG adjacent is in the cards, I have a place to start. So, I guess that's all I'm saying with this. It's weird to look back at all of this stuff and being like, it is accumulating into something. I don't know what that something is yet, but it does exist. You're making a whole Super Mario game with all those worlds. I mean, Vikings and Trampolines is, like, very Super Mario adjacent at this point. I'm kind of thinking, like, if Owlboy is sort of my Zelda with a little bit of Mega Man-ish. Like, it's its own entirely different thing, but if that's kind of the closest inspiration to that, then I think Vikings and Trampolines is kind of what would happen if my inspiration from Super Mario mixed with Power Stone. That's kind of where my brain's at with that. Hey, Snake. Hey, yo. What's up? Let's see here. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? We have a Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest competitor that will never see a release. I think that's the strange thing with stuff like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest for me now, is that it's very strange, the environment for all the things that I like. Because I grew up with a very particular set of games that meant a lot to me, and then very few things have been able to capture that magic for me. And it's very obvious that the people that are making sort of like homages or things that feel like they're in that vein come from their very particular form of inspiration from it. They're just different from mine, so it doesn't quite hit the same way. But it's also, when I'm looking at, you know, larger companies and the way that they evolve their series, it's just in a way that I'm like, I would have done it so differently. Like, a lot of the largest companies that are still making RPGs, either they're turning them into something that isn't something that resonates with me, or it's evolved into something completely different. And of course, I've always said this, so this isn't anything new, but I would rather never have remakes. And if you're going to do remakes, I want you to work on stuff that's that was flawed, so that it has its time to shine. So that's always kind of been my policy on that. But when I respect the fact whenever something evolves in a different direction, because I want things to move forward. But I think it's just that a lot of the stuff that gets put into current games don't do much for me. Like, I'm never going to be particularly interested in anything that's very like MMO flavored, because I never grew up with that. And modern RPGs are either so enormous or so niche specific that it just doesn't hit me in any way. Like, it doesn't feel approachable to me in a way that feels engaging. And I think that is what makes me excited about the prospect of doing something RPG-like. Is that no one has been able to capture that feeling for me. Therefore, there's an opening for me to do it. Like, I want to show people what I feel like is a fun way of engaging with that sort of thing. But then I feel like that about so many things. There's only so many games that I'll be able to make in a lifetime, and that really frustrates me. I really want to make everything. I want to make all the games. Like, if there's a genre that exists out there, I want to try making something like that. Like, I bring up fighting games all the time, not because I think that I'll make the best one ever. It's just like, but can't I do something really wacky, though? Like, even if everyone else hates it, if I like it, then it's like, hell yeah, I got to do that. That's what excites me about it. That's what I want to do. Just bang out another Earthbound-like about some depressed kids and call it a day. Woof. No. I mean, that's kind of a different conversation as well. Is that, like, there's this idea of what an Earthbound-like is, but my idea of, like, what was charming about Earthbound is something completely different. Like, you know what always sticks in my brain every time I think about Earthbound? It's not, you know, quirky characters or any of that stuff. It's stuff like you order a pizza and then wait for it to be delivered in the dungeon that you're in. Or that your health improves depending on how you build a burger and put condiments on it. Like, it's this sort of bizarre... it's like if you look at Americana through the lens of surrealism. That I really like. And, like, the first thing that comes to mind is not even some sort of cynicism about how it functions, or some sort of social commentary or something. I just really like to sit in that kind of environment and be like, what abstraction can you get out of that kind of environment? Like, imagine if you visited, fucking Sweden, and you're like, but what if Sweden was a fantasy world, and I'm a crazy person? Like, that's kind of the thing that really strikes me with that whole game. Like, I love Earthbound. What is it, Mother 3, for example? I think it's a really captivating game. But I think sort of like the bizarre nature of the menus and everything in Earthbound is really fascinating. Like, there's something on the instilling a sense of place through the bizarreness of its representations of everyday life. That's really captivating to me. Like, the fact that you never get to see your dad, because it's implied that he's just constantly working at his office, and yet it's treated as completely normal, and it just becomes this, like, weird gag that he's not there, but nobody's laughing. It's just an accepted thing that your dad lives in the phone, sort of. And it's not, you know, it's not a fantasy world. It's not a fantasy world, the fact that he sort of lives in the phone and you only talk to him to get some money every once in a while. It's implied to be real. It's implied that this is just normal everyday life, but I don't know. I think you can kind of see what it is that I'm saying. Like, there's this weird facsimile of elements that create a whole that's really fascinating to me about Earthbound. But then again, I mean, you should never go by the description of something that you heard secondhand on the internet anyway. Like, if you need a clickbait article or a YouTube video to tell you what Earthbound is, just play it yourself. Experience the game and make up your own opinions so that you can form thoughts about it. If we boil it down to, oh, it's a quirky game with quirky characters and they do quirky things, then, like, that's a little sad, I think. Earthbound likes should be about having homesickness and then having a tree run up to you and explode. What? Japan does a very good job of playing bizarre things completely straight. Yeah, I think so. To be fair, I think a lot of places do that, but it's more so like, what is your desire when creating the works that you are that you're trying to put out there? And that's a tough one, because I feel like creating things is a sort of a mixture of your ideals, your culture, your desires. Like, there are things that are sort of unwritten that you put into your works that you won't realize, but some other people might find charming. There was that, like, very cynical take some time ago where, I forget where it was said, but there was this, like, repeated thing that, oh, all European games are depressing. It's sort of, maybe from your perspective, you're not allowed to express grief without irony, maybe? Like, maybe there's a cultural element there. Like, I can't make any guesses, but if that's a trend, I'm assuming that there's an element here where this is something that's perceived differently, depending on where things are made. And that expresses itself in many different ways. And I think that's nice. We've done a chat. We've managed to reach the shoes. Finally. Let's see. I think I have roughly 20 minutes left that I can reasonably put into this, so I'll try to make it count. Can I just do that? Will that look right? Nah. Let's just keep it that way. Okay. I don't think I'll keep that line there. And this is Yeah, that's the connector bit for the back tire, so we'll keep that. Do you work on a single layer? Currently I'm working on a single layer. Usually I'll do a backup layer where so I'll split it off as I go and just make more and more layers so that I have backups. Generally I will have hundreds of layers so that I have more mobility, but we happen to be at a point where it makes more sense just to paint on top of what we already have. So currently I am I'm working on a single one. Right now it serves no purpose for me to add, you know, effects or mess with the lines. A lot of the detail is going to come from the fact that I am messing with the thickness as I go. The paint over is what's going to give this the spice it needs. How's your cat? I know last time I heard you talk about her, she had gotten really roughed up. Oh, Lottie? Yeah, oh, was that long ago? Yeah, no, I guess for a brief summary for those that weren't there for that, my cat Lottie, at one point at least, was attacked by what I'm assuming was another cat. Somehow snuck onto our property, and well, if we're being blunt here, went straight for Lottie's throat, and unfortunately we had to have her put under for anesthesia, and she was given stitches. Not pleasant for Lottie, especially since she doesn't handle anesthesia very well, and it was a tough time all around because she had to wear a cone and she does not deal with that. But she recovered perfectly fine. She is happy and healthy now. I'm trying to think of if there's been any like Lottie events recently, but not really. She's been very happy recently because it's summer weather and now she can just frolic around. She does not care about water at all. That's not a problem, but she gets upset when the weather isn't to her liking, and then she'll come in and voice her concerns about why we haven't changed the weather for her. So these days she's a very happy cat. Like when May finally came around and we got just a tiny bit of warmer weather, like she was in our enclosed area in our yard, going out on the gravel and just like rolling, just spinning around on the gravel. I think the only thing that's been happening to Lottie recently is that we had a person stay over to take care of her while we were in Japan, and it was interesting getting feedback on how she was reacting to someone else being at the house. Because the thing is, Like, I always say that Lottie is not really an affectionate cat. And I don't mean that in a negative sense. I just mean that she sort of passively shows that she cares about you. So we have been out of the country for, like, what was it? A little over a week, I think. Like 11 days or something like that. And we come home and Lottie just ignores us. Just nothing. Just kind of like, oh, you're here, I guess. Well, I'm gonna go to my food bowl. Bye. That kind of thing. And we soon realized that she was probably just a bit mad that we weren't there. The second she got sort of her frustrations out, she suddenly became extremely affectionate, and like, she has not left my side since. Like, she's mellowed out a lot in the past while. Like, these days our routine is she gets her little exploration in the morning, and then after that she comes in either to, I don't know, just check that we exist, or to take a very, very big nap next to me while I work. And it's not like she wants you to sit there and pet her the whole time or anything. She just wants to be there so that you know that she's there. So very, very passive affection, but the fact that she has no reason to be there, she just wants to be there so that she knows that you're in the same room, is kind of sweet. He's very much a, no, I don't care about you at all. No, I don't care about you. But don't leave, because if you leave, then I also have to go. And also, I'm just going to sit here in the same room with you this whole time. For no reason, though. There's absolutely no reason why I'm sitting here, but I have to. I mean, you're here, so I have to be here. That kind of thing. Tsundere cat. I feel like that's just cats in general. Let's see, where are we at? Alright. If I can just get the main bicycle done, then I can get that tire fixed up, get the tiny little specks left on the background, and then this should be complete. Not even devouring one or two important cables. No, she's kind of stopped doing that. I think she realized that there wasn't that much entertainment in it. Granted, if we don't do her routine, she will immediately menace. If it's like, well, it's porch time now. If it's time to be on the porch and hang out, and we're like, no, you have to stay inside because you need a pill or whatever. Then it's like, oh, I see. What's this? Things that are precariously placed on the table. I guess you don't mind if I knock those over. But, Lottie is princess. So, usually there's no reason to diverge from the routine. Let's see. Almost have this hubcap done. Let's see here. Just need to clean that up a little bit, and I think that's ready to go. You treat your cat like a princess. I mean, I think there is at least some element where you should try to treat your pets as nicely as you can. I mean, well, she's with us. I want her to have a good life. So of course I will. So long as it's not to her own detriment. Alright. I think we can render up that tire now. There's a reason why Egyptians did the exact same thing. I mean, the Egyptians also had religious reasons. Maybe that's something we should bring back. We need a new cat goddess. Actually, no, I don't think we do. I think cats get enough worship as it is. We don't need any more. I think that's what's so interesting about cats to me, though, is the fact that I've mentioned this on other streams, but I find it really fascinating that, as opposed to dogs, who we co-evolved with, like there are genuine brain reactions that we have when dogs and humans see each other that are unique to us. Like we've had dogs as companions for so long that we have evolved ways of reacting to each other's presence. But that's what I find so interesting about cats, is that we don't have that with them. In fact, a lot of our behaviors and desires and ways of communicating are vastly different. The best you could say is that cats are social animals, even though they would like to pretend that they're not. They are actual social animals, which means that there's an overlap between us on that. But it means that, as opposed to dogs, we don't have all of these built-in ways of communicating, and yet we manage just fine, and it's even desired by both parties too. And I think that's kind of sweet. We socialize dogs, cats socialized us, etc., etc. Yeah. I think on the sense of cats, it's a bit of a complicated history with how that worked out. But certainly, we found them either charming or valuable enough that we brought them with us throughout the entire planet. And clearly it's not just because they are they're useful. I mean, yes, mousers and everything, that was a big thing, but clearly there is a relationship here where there's a desire for both parties to seek social interaction between each other. The fact that kittens will just randomly find people and stick with them. Humans, I mean. I feel like that would be a trait that would evolve out real frickin' fast if they didn't want that to happen. That sounds like a absolutely terrible idea. Cat went up to my mom's boyfriend while he was smoking, and her name is Ashtray. That is a name. I think we can all agree that that is definitely a name. I'm weirdly reminded of the, before my mother got her current dog, whose name, ironically, is Mira, which always was strange because I named my character Mira, like, a few weeks before that happened. She does not know about the character Mira, she just happened to name her dog the same name a little while after. But before that, my mother has a border collie. Because we've always had border collies in my family. And so she wanted a new one. But before then, she was contemplating all kinds of things, and she was watching I think it was a British pet show, and there was in her words, incredibly overweight wiener dog, and its name was Biscuit, and she was so enamored by that. And it's not because, you know, haha, overweight dog. No, it's because Bisk in Norwegian means doggy. So the fact that this dog was named both for its unusual habits and also is technically just named Doggy was so funny to her. She was so tempted to name Mira Biscuit, but it just didn't make any sense. Alright. Where are we at? Guess that tire is... I'd be willing to call that complete, yeah? Oh, that's interesting. Hold on. Backing that track up a little bit. Let me get the volume up a little bit. Just want to listen to something. Huh. It definitely wasn't. It absolutely isn't. It's just my music brain kicking in. That very particular way of playing chords is... I've only heard that consistently in one game, and that's Star Tropics. Like the dungeon theme in that one does that all over the place. And I think all of the overworld themes does it as well. It's such a particular little thing that I'm wondering. Huh. Oh well. I'm probably just overthinking. Damn it, I can't stop hearing it. Now it's just stuck in my brain. It's like, it's Star Tropics. Oh well. Let's see. Okay, how far along are we now? Yeah, we got a chunk done. Okay, as the last bit before I have to wrap up this stream, I am just going to clean up this area a little bit because the outline is a little bit too harsh. Speaking of weird retro games, not weird, speaking of just retro games in general, because oftentimes when I'm planning to do these live streams, it's really just like a break from what I usually do. And to some degree, I'm like, it doesn't always have to be that I sit here and work on a piece for like 3 hours in a row. I did have this strange desire to do a speed run of Mega Man X1. Because I think it's the one game that I'm, at the very least, pretty competent at. And I've never attempted to see how fast I can clear that thing. It won't be now, though. I don't have time right now, but it's definitely something that's been on my mind. Maybe for a different stream, I could come back to that. We did do a playthrough of a bunch of the X games. I forget what the reasoning for it was, but that did happen. We did complete all of those. But I haven't replayed X1 in quite some time. I think the last time I did a full run of Mega Man X was when I got my SNES Mini. So it came pre-built into the system, and I was just like, you know what? It's been a while. Let's just run through it. And I think I cleared it at, I don't remember how long it took, but it did not take long. So maybe that can be a chill session after I'm back from Oslo. Oh yeah. Alright, I will repeat this for the people that have arrived now and have not been here earlier. Just because I'm going to be so busy with it that I probably won't have time to talk about it again. So, if you heard this before already, then you already know the news, but I'll repeat it anyway. So, for those of you that were not here earlier, important bit of news. I am going to be at, where is that image? Magicon in Oslo. That's in 4 days, 20th till the 21st. So I'll be bringing the latest version of Vikings and Trampolines. So that will have the adventure mode and the newest version of the versus mode. So that'll be playable there both days. So if you're in the Oslo area, you can just come by and play that. Also, don't know yet, but if everything goes according to plan, we will be bringing Owlboy merch. So you'll be able to get some stuff that we've stored up for the past while. And it's very limited supply, but if everything goes according to plan, that'll be able to be available at the booth as well. And then at the end of that, I believe it is on the last day at 1500. It'll be the last talk before the ending show. I'll be holding a 45-minute presentation about the development that led us to Vikings and Trampolines. So it'll be a little bit about the history of D-Pad Studio, how we got there, all the games that we produced, the things that we're working on, and then, most importantly, Vikings and Trampolines and what we're planning to do with that. So, a little bit of demonstration, a little bit of talk about how that's done, all that good stuff. So, if you're in the Oslo area during that time, then make sure to drop by, because we won't have that much time for other conventions this year. So until Gamescom in Cologne, I believe that's in August, this will be our last convention appearance until then. So, you have been warned. You could probably reach out to the composer and ask whether or not it used tracks from Star Tropics. I suppose I could. It's also fun for it to be a mystery, though. Not to mention, you know, sometimes it can be a bit frustrating if you've created a wholly original work and then someone goes, "That reminds me of," and it feels like it's undermining the intent. So, I think for my sake, I like it as an opportunity to recognize something about the games that I like, and then if it turns out that it was an accident or if it was on purpose, then either one is fine by me. Let's see. Where are we at now? I do need to do some fixes on this tailpipe. Do I have time for that? Barely, just barely enough time. I'm gonna attempt to just add some very basic color here while there's still a second, because I do need to wrap up here. Just need to make sure that this this vent feels accurate. Like that. This could probably be turned yellow as well. I can tell this track is for an area that I haven't been in. So I am probably gonna avoid looking at what the name of it is. That said, I don't, now that I've completed Mina the Hollower, it's probably going to be a minute until I have the time to play another game all the way through. But I did thoroughly enjoy it. It was a really pleasant experience. I'm not going to give like a review of the game because I don't feel like that's necessary. But it is an interesting to see from sort of a distance, because it's an interesting way to look at why the source material they based these games on did what they did. And I think one of the things that encapsulates that is the whip. Because the whip is... I can't say this for sure, but I have a feeling that it has like a bit of Castlevania inspiration from it. At least how it moves and how it reacts and things. And it's interesting seeing that married with the inputs from a more like Zelda-like type of game. One thing that was an interesting eye-opener, because the early game in Mina the Hollower is quite tough, but it's because, and I didn't realize it at the time, because I was kind of going by my Zelda instincts more than anything. But I realized the reason why I was having a tough time was because the whip does not have the arc that Link's sword does in the top-down games. Which means that the hitbox is a lot more finicky, and it means that you will struggle to deal damage when you think you can hit something. Because you can only hit in a straight line. Now it does compensate for this. It does a lot of things really interestingly, and there's a ton of really good ideas. But I figure I could at least say that if you're struggling with... what is it? If you're struggling with hitting enemies in the game, try to upgrade to, I forget what the name of it is, the switch gun, as soon as you can. Because you build up shots for that thing that you can then fire at a distance, so you get to keep enemies at bay. But when you're not using the shots, it swings exactly like a Zelda sword would. And it's a lot easier if you're used to that kind of movement to sort of just like translate over and be like, okay, now the instincts are kicking back in and I know how to hit things. But it is by no means necessary. Like, you can get through the game using just the whip or whatever other weapon you want. But I ended up using it quite a lot because it plays into the type of playstyle that I like to do. Like, of course, Mega Man-y shoot is my go-to, and if not Mega Man-y shoot, then Zelda-y swing and whack. So, it was a good combo for me. But I'm not going to talk too much about my experience playing it. I feel like I had a good time, and I think that's enough said. They did a good job. So, people that made it should be very proud. Good job, Sandy, you did it. And all the rest. You finished it? Yeah, I finished it yesterday. Or was it 2 days ago? I'm lost track of time. Speaking of having lost track of time, it is now midnight, and I should wrap this up. Alright, so that was almost exactly 3 hours worth of work. So there's not going to be another stream until I am back from Oslo, and I believe I head out on Thursday, and I won't be back until after the weekend. But after that, things open up a little bit, and I might have some more time to stream, so we'll see how that goes. Either I'll finish up this painting on stream or I'll do it elsewhere. We'll see. There's not really that much left. I'm just taking my time with it because I have the opportunity to. Yeah, I'm not really sure how much more there is to say. Again, remember, if you really want to play Vikings and Trampolines early and want to give that a try, hopefully you'll be in Oslo in 4 days. Then you can just speak in person and you get to try a brand new game in its early stages. I think that's it for now. I am anticipating there being more streams in the future, but just got to get through this one hurdle first. All right, that's enough preamble. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.